Hey guys, I just want to introduce you to another one of our division sponsors. This is We Plead the Second. We have Brian and TJ here. These guys have kindly promoted, not only supported the match with financial support, but also products and gifts and prizes for the shooters here today. But you guys do some really awesome stuff. You do Cerakote work, and you also do like grip reduction stuff on Glock, which Fagan has talked about a lot with his Glock builds there. Makes the Glock a lot more comfortable a gun to shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you talk about the work you do and what you bring to the industry with Cerakote and that kind of work?
Yeah, so we're certified Cerakote applicators. One of the few in the valley, and it's a pretty small network nationwide, which is it's pretty important if you're getting coatings done. To really learn the chemistry of it and how to do it correctly. So we take that and just add a little bit more artistic flair to it, a little bit more personal and customizations. Combine that with the laser engraving, grip stippling, all that kind of stuff. So we make some really cool firearms.
Examples of your works right here. In fact, there's another example of the artistry right there. That's your Gila Monster.
Yep.
Right. And then you've got some cool kind of camo going on here.
So we're kind of obsessed with multicam and how it looks with the fabric. That's
We
one
like
of the ones that we're
we like doing the sets. We like doing sets.
They're
Pistol
sets.
Rifle match.
Yep.
Actually, all of your gear is kind of matching,
yeah.
isn't it? You could even fix this gun, couldn't you?
Yes,
Good.
we could definitely.
Because look
say
how
that.
beautiful this is, right? Yeah. All right. So you also do, you said you do kind of like battle worn kind of stuff as well?
Yep. So we get a lot of that. We can mimic the battlefield pickup on AKs, but you can actually do it with all Cerakotes. So you get the corrosion protection that Cerakote's superior to, but it'll look aged.
It looks used.
Yeah.
Cool. So guys, if you're looking to do some Cerakote work or some laser engraving or getting your Glock frame reduced or something like that, We Bleed the Second has not only supported Desert Brutality 2019, but they've supported InRange and the 2-Gun Action Challenge match and the shooting community as a whole for quite a while. So spend your dollars with the guys that promote the shooting sports and are responsible gun owners. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, Sinistral Rifleman, Russell Fagan, here. All three of us together. Haven't seen that much on the channel.
Are we allowed to be friends?
Only when Karl's not around.
Oh, so right now you have to fight a little bit. But with that in mind, this is an interesting thing because first of all, I'd like to get all of our conclusions about how we felt Desert Brutality 2019 went, what your impressions of were the match, what your impressions of, I'll get back to you. And then also we'd like to talk about a little bit about the difference between different divisions because Fagan shot this in Armored Plus P and Classic. So you have kind of a two-tiered perspective on things.
Two different ends of the gear spectrum.
Two different ends. So what do you think about the match in general?
I think this match went off really well. We had about 80 more people shoot it this year than the previous year.
Yep.
Exact numbers to be determined when the final results are tabulated.
Something like 170.
But cycling that many people through over the course of 3 days, counting the staff match, with really no slowdowns is pretty good as far as a major match goes for its second year.
Yeah. The amount of hiccups were quite minor. So now you're going over the actual administrative running, but what about the stages?
I think the stages were a good balance of skills tested. We had everything from 100-yard, relatively tight shots to high physicality stages. Not any one stage emphasized, everything. There's a up and down on the stages with regards to which skills it was testing. So
we even had a pretty strong mental game too on one.
I was really happy with a couple of those stages. The math stage, I thought that went really well, especially pairing thinking under duress with also having to drag this freaking 1917 Browning replica around with you. And that was that thing weighed about the same as a real 1917 Browning.
It's a beast.
Yeah.
And we got the added advantage on our day of shooting that stage that it had rain and it was muddy.
Yes. Which is why my rifle is still, both our rifles are still covered in mud.
Yep. And people say that mud isn't a real thing in the field.
I do not concur.
I don't either.
And one of the interesting things that occurred to me while watching that stage is watching how everybody treated that replica machine gun.
Yes.
They just heaved it into the mud. And it occurred to me, like, if people are actually under fire, a lot of them are going to do exactly that to whatever sort of crap they have to carry. So if you're out there designing a gun for the military, try that. See if it works. Because someone else is going to try it sooner or later.
Yeah, there's something to be said about this albatross around my neck that might get me killed because I'm not using it to shoot right now.
Yeah.
And it's causing me to be slower.
Right.
And that's a good example of that. Not to mention, people using their own guns drag through that.
We had at least 2 muzzle brakes destroyed.
By mud.
That we saw. Mud got into the brake. Fortunately, we didn't have anyone with a plug bore that I'm aware of. But we saw a 3-chamber comp that got the end the end cracked in half. We saw a 4-prong like a vortex flash hider that just exploded into 4 pieces.
Yep. So, but that goes to show you that even just under match time, what happens to the gun that they're trying to protect?
Right.
I think that's the point.
Yeah.
So I shot this AKM, and one of the things that I wanted to prove out through doing this setup wasn't to be necessarily winning Classic. We kind of knew that. But what we've said about the Desert Brutality two-gun in general is that all the stages are designed to be completable with a stock AKM.
Yeah.
And guess what? I only had one stage that I parred out on, and it was a pistol stage.
And you didn't even get to the AKM.
No, I got one plate.
Yeah.
But everything, all other 7 stages that included this rifle, I successfully completed all of them with a stock AKM. And I contend that while maybe you shouldn't design stages to be one with this, because you don't want to design stages around guns. But what you want to do is design practical stages that are oriented around real-world skill sets. And I think it's still very arguable the AKM is a practical combat rifle. Yep. Now, it's behind the curve on something like what Fagan's holding, but that doesn't matter. The reality is this is a gun on the battlefield now, and it is still practical, and your stages should be viable with it. Yep, in my opinion.
And I was shooting something not that much different.
No.
Less recoil, better sights.
Yes.
But same sort of vintage, just iron sights. A Brownell 605 replica that ran fantastic.
It did.
I had one malfunction during the entire match, and I think it was a magazine issue. Whatever it was, I cleared it fast enough that I'm not entirely sure what caused it. And yeah, this thing was awesome to shoot.
Now, I'm tired of holding this right now. Fagan, you shot Classic and Modern.
Yeah, here.
Can you tell us something about your experiences from shooting 2 different divisions in the same match?
So I shot Classic through first in the staff match to proof out the stages, and we did find some things that we needed to simplify or take less time so we could actually cycle everyone through the stage with fewer par outs. Using the Classic division equipment, I wasn't wearing any gear other than a couple mag pouches on my belt and a holster.
So you were slick.
Slick, yeah. So going through a lot of the obstacles was easier because there was nothing to hang up on, and I started the match fresh. We did have one day of setup, pretty minor as far as physicality doing that, but it is a gradual fatigue factor over a week of doing all this stuff, the admin, and shooting the match twice basically, and a couple of stages more than once as well. So shooting in Classic, it felt like I was just flying through the stages, physically. And when I got to the marksmanship challenges, I had to slow down significantly to get a hard, clean sight picture, because I deliberately didn't practice with those guns at all. I just zeroed them, and I test fired the pistol like one mag to make sure it worked.
He won the division, but that deliberately not practicing.
Pretty sure you won Classic.
Well, we'll see, but it sounds like it's likely because I didn't have any penalties. So shooting the match clean is definitely something you got to do here to place high in your division.
Yes.
So I performed pretty well with that stuff. Then had a day of just running stages for more ROs, 3 hours of sleep, start doing Armored plus P. And Armored plus P is significantly physically harder than the other divisions, I'd say, because of all the weight you're starting with, both the armor, helmet, and your ammo loadout for the whole match. And every stage you feel it get lighter by a couple pounds as you're using up ammo, right? So you're like, maybe I like the Casarda stage being last because I've used up all my ammo.
Yeah.
I only have a couple mags left, but oh wait, my legs are all worn out and stiff from doing all these other stages.
Sure.
So the equipment advantages with red dots on both my pistol and rifle were pretty good on multiple stages. I shot much faster on the pistol-centric stage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And on some of the other rifle challenges that I had a hard time getting a good sight picture with the irons based on lighting conditions or target presentation, much easier with the red dot. But I got a lot more worn out getting there than I did in the Classic division.
Now, Stage 8, which we actually just got done shooting, I think that's arguably the most physical stage of the entire match.
Yes, I think.
Fair?
Stage 4 to me was more so. It's just different types of stuff.
But Stage 4 with carrying Lieutenant Dan, that was shorter.
This is a very physical stage, so let's compare the two. In Classic, you were also fresh, but you also shot this in Armored. And actually, was your time in Classic faster?
My time in Classic was faster just because I was less tired.
You
I missed way more in Classic, and I had more first round hits in Armored plus P off a bipod with the red dot. But because this is the last stage of the match, and I've just worn myself out over the course of the past week doing this match, I was running out of gas about 2/3 of the way through the stage. Finished it under par by 50 seconds, rotated the spinner, but after that I was just done.
Yep. Interesting. It's compelling.
And that's, of course, what you used in Classic.
Correct.
Which is actually sort of your own build of the same thing.
The irony is, when we established the Classic division rules, Brownells had not announced their 605 yet. So within the Classic division rule set of all the specifics we restricted on ARs, I was like, what can I do to get the most advantage out of this rule set? restricted to a carry handle upper, plastic furniture, and so on. I'm like, well, a 16-inch rifle gas system will be the most mild to shoot. And I really like the A1 sights because they're pretty much idiot-proof and they can't get bumped out of alignment versus A2s. So I effectively built a 605 kind of build, but just with the added feature of a brass deflector.
We'll have your barrel too.
I offered you an AKM and you said no.
No, not about that AK life.
Anyway, anything else we want to say? I mean, this has been a successful Desert Brutality 2019.
We had a ton of cool people here.
Yes.
We had an entire stage of Vietnam people.
Yep.
And I believe they actually had some sort of boombox with them, playing stuff like Fortunate Son.
Are you serious?
I think they did. We saw one of those guys.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, we did. The sponsorship's been astounding.
yes, great
Division.
company sponsoring the match.
Stages.
I know people get tired of hearing about shilling about sponsors, but you know what? Sponsors are what make this possible, and sponsors make a lot of good gear that we get to use here.
2/3 of the sponsors actually attended and participated as well.
Yeah.
Interacting with the people that came from all over the world to attend this.
Literally all over the world.
Loaning equipment and lending advice for a lot of the novices we had here. I ran that new shooter clinic the day before the match started again this year, and we had over 50 people again that got to practice moving safely and rotating spinners before the match started. And I think that was of a great value to the novices. Unfortunately, we had some other people with experience here to help run that because 50 people is hard to manage through a class.
One thing we need to get out there that we will be we'll put out more bluntly in the future, though, is if you have physical conditions, if you can't do the sprinting, if you can't pick up 50 pounds or more, seriously consider whether this is the match for you. We love having new shooters. We need you to come with appropriate safety habits and the physical capability to complete the match.
And a retention holster.
Yes. The biggest DQ cause through all the brutality matches we've done is pistol goes bloop out of the holster.
One of the things about this is that, one of the things that happened with competitive shooting is they tried to make everything for everyone. Accessible to everyone.
Yes.
And I don't think that should be the case. There should be matches for every sort of person and every sort of interest. This one happens to be very physically oriented, and that's okay. There are other matches that if this one's not for you, there is some competitive shooting sport that is for you. So don't be discouraged. Just find the one that's appropriate, but don't try to wedge yourself into something you're getting injured at, because you disagreed with me, but I said that glory is temporary, but injuries are permanent.
No, glory is permanent, but injuries suck a lot more than glory.
But on that note, that's an important point. The other thing that we did mention the sponsors, and people should remember this, a match of this size requires that sponsorship.
Yeah.
And so we've had people, Varis DeLaca, Brownells, Veltor, ESS Tac, I can't even list them all, we'll put them at the end. AARs,
MOA targets.
MOA targets. I'm sure I missed some.
Lee Armory.
Lee Armory. And all of that happens, and Brownells actually provided the ammunition.
Yep.
For both
That's
you
right.
and I and all of the finish shooters. So thanks to everyone for that, as well as your 605. So that's the kind of stuff that makes this kind of competitive shooting environment possible. If it wasn't for companies supporting this, this wouldn't exist. So we're going to put a list at the end of the video, and if there's stuff that you need, I really highly recommend that you support the people that support this sort of thing, because they're a positive force in this industry and in the shooting sports.
And most of them have Patreon discounts available to your Patreon members that you'll have access to if you sign up with InRangeTV.
He's better at this than I am. Yeah, $3 and above, we have a buyer's club, and you get discounts to a lot of these people. Yep. So guys, thank you for watching this. Hopefully you've enjoyed Desert Brutality 2019. And if you do like this kind of stuff, consider supporting us on Patreon. As we already mentioned, $3 above gets you the buyer's club.
Yep.
And other perks above that. And you can start at $1. Every dollar matters. And if you can't, that's fine. Please just subscribe to our channel. They're on multiple distribution networks. You can find them all on InRange.tv and share with your friends. Thanks a lot.